Everyday Juggler, your source for juggling highlights, interviews, tutorials, and reviews. And now your host, Sean Livingston.
What's going on, everybody? Before we get started, I got a couple of things to tell you. First, don't forget the Everyday Jugglers on Patreon now. If you love this podcast and you love what's happening on YouTube, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/everydayjuggler. Also, in preparation for this episode of Everyday Juggler Profiles, Niels provided me with a couple of his books and a few DVDs for you to win. Just like last time, you can win them by leaving a comment on the video at YouTube, leaving a 5-star rating and review on my iTunes podcast, or by subscribing to my email list at everydayjuggler.com. Even if you don't win one of those giveaways, Niels still wanted you to have a great experience, so has something special for you at nielsduinker.com/online-video. And that link will be in the notes. All right, let's get to that interview. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Everyday Juggler Profiles. Today we get to hang out with Niels Duinker. Niels, thanks so much for being with us. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, how long you've been juggling, and what you're most excited about when it comes to juggling right now.
Okay, well, my name is Niels Duinker. I'm from the Netherlands, so that explains my accent for everybody that's tuning in from America. I've been juggling since I was 12 years old. I tried it when I was 8, and then I didn't know how to do it. But then when I was 12, I found a book, a videotape, and a friend that could do it. So it got me started. I liked it so much, so I've been juggling ever since. And when I was 13, I did my first show. That was just a small show for some kind of block party. Some of my neighbors threw a barbecue. But from there, I got a couple other ones, and then I realized how much fun performing was as well. So it was always been my side job, but then in 2007, things got more serious, and then I got this really cool opportunity to perform for 3 months at a theme park in Japan. So I took that one, then I had my own show there, like a 20-minute show, 3 times a day on a stage in the theme park in Japan. I used that promo video to submit it to my cruise agent, who's still representing me in the cruise market. So, Team Rootberry, Ivan Purcell helped me a bunch with that, Scott Kavanagh as well. In 2009, I graduated in mechanical engineering from the Delft University of Technology. That's a good university in the Netherlands. But then the week thereafter, after I graduated, I got my first cruise ship gig, and I've been juggling nonstop, professionally, full-time since.
And what would you say you're most excited about when it comes to juggling right now?
I'm working on a couple new props that I'm really excited about. Also, I think the stuff I'm excited about now is also the stuff that I was excited about years ago. Also excited when I started out juggling. Yeah, it's just still like when you juggle the props that are flying through the air. I think it's almost like the coolest screensaver you can see. Like, for example, when you do, 5 club back crosses, it's just an amazing view. It's like this really cool 3D experience, and then you're in the middle, you're controlling it. So the combination between the visuals, the physical action, it's just so much fun. And that's like the technical side. But then as a professional juggler, it's really cool, that you can share that passion and take it to another level in front of a crowd and entertain them and have them have a good time as well. So, and then thereafter you get paid for it, so you can make a living doing the stuff that you're excited about. So I think for me, it's a great combination, and that motivates me to keep going.
Totally. You said that you're working on a couple new props. You've made some props before. Can you tell us about the ones you've made before?
So like Freddie Kenton, who has also helped me a lot in my shows. He's now 78, 77 years old. But he's like from the Netherlands, like maybe the most well-known juggler from the past century. He had an amazing career. He's still working. Next month, he's going to the United States to perform at Moisture Festival, to Las Vegas even. But like when he was like 30, he worked a couple years at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. And like there's so many props that were popular like back then. So basically it goes in fashion. So for a while, like contact juggling was well known, and or like popular, then poi swinging. So there's always this fashion. It's like in the 60s, it was with the ball and the mouth stick. And like that's kind of like his era. So now he's like, okay, that prop you don't see as much anymore. So he's now guiding me and teaching me, those props. And those are shaker cups. You barely see them. Ball and the mouth stick, you barely see them. So he's like pointing me at the stuff that he was very successful with, like in his top of his career. So now, but those are the props you cannot buy in the average juggling store. So, and still it's fun. So I want to do those props, but I need to get them built or like build them myself. So I'm now investing a lot in the ball and the mouth stick. It's just a fun prop, different dynamic as well. And also I think for later, because when you do toss juggling, it's very precise. So maybe when you get older, it's very difficult to juggle more than 7 balls or even 5. But when you can do balancing, that even like when you're also old now as Freddie, like he's still doing the balancing stuff amazing, and he's still doing respective reputable shows because he uses his skill well that he still can do. So I'm already setting myself up for that as well. Just plan for longevity, and it's cool because everybody's doing balls, clubs, rings, and then the shaker cups you barely see. The mouse stick you barely see. And I found this in this book from Karl-Heinz Zieten, this juggling historian from Berlin. And so I found a couple other props that excite me, and I got them built now.
Awesome. So I guess I think you gave a shaker cup to David Kane for his museum that you made. Yeah. So I looked at it, and it looks like it's a little bit like the circumference is a little bit bigger than a normal shaker cup or ones that I've seen before. So I was wondering kind of what went into the design, what you were thinking about as you were making them.
First I got to go to a couple different prototypes. So John McPeak is another friend of mine. So Rudy Cardenas was the one, not the first one, according to David Kane. So it was interesting to visit his museum and to get all this information. But he said that it was the one that made it more popular because he was using it in his shows. And he was using just a standard shaker cup, which is very difficult because, it's very tiny, very, very long. So then John McPeak, he got another design that was already bigger and more coney. And so Rudy Cardenas was not too pleased about that. It's considered as cheating. But then Freddie Kenton got another design. So he saw Rudy Cardenas many years ago when Freddie was like 16 or 17. And then later he went to Europe. Rudy was only working in the US. So it got inspired Freddie to work on it. So he got another design which was very, very coney, and it was good up to 8. But then I wanted to go up to 10. So now I'm just made it a little bit more like that. But Freddie's one was very, very big. But then his original design was the starting point for me to work on this design. And the same when you look at Claudius Specht from also from Europe. He got a set of shaker cups like the original ones from Freddie when Claudius was earlier on in his career. So if you look at his cups, they're pretty big and pretty coney as well. It's just because the original design from Freddie was just like that. And we took that as our starting point.
Where did you get them manufactured once you had them designed?
Well, there's one a prop builder in the Netherlands that I use quite regularly, and he studied industrial design, and he also went to the art academy. So this man, he's like in the sweet spot between the two, and he's really enjoys the juggling shows, and he's like an artist himself. He's pretty crazy, so he wants to experiment stuff as well. So when I come with something weird and odd, he's willing to go along and just to go for it. And he was building for Freddie for many years, so he really has quite a bit of experience like building juggling props.
Yep, awesome. And you said you're working on stuff now. Is there anything you can share that you're working on?
Like this big Max Souverain Diablo prop. That's I found it in the book from Karl-Heinz Zieten. And I was thinking there's so many juggling shows, and the concept is pretty similar. That you have a suitcase that's your prop stand, and then you have comedy that's connects all the juggling bits. And I was thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. But then in the Netherlands, you have so many illusionists. So I was thinking, okay, can I make a juggling show that's kind of more on the approach of an illusion show? So then you need bigger props and bigger stuff. So I'm just experimenting with that now. So I'm getting this prop built. It's not cheap, but it's pretty inspiring. And then hopefully it will open up some other markets that's it's going to be new for juggling. Maybe headliner at a theme park or some other stuff. So it's a different approach, and it's actually it's weird because then I need to get my show cargoed to the venue instead of excess luggage, which is pretty normal to jugglers.
Yeah, when I saw some pictures you posted on Facebook, and the first thing I thought is, how's he going to do that on a cruise ship?
Well, I was thinking you have this like resident shows as well, but those spots always goes to illusionists. So I was thinking, why not a juggling show? If it's a big visual variety show, it's just that nobody's doing it, so they have no idea, which is the good thing, and it's the difficult thing, because they know like illusionists, it works on the ships, for example, or it works in the theme park. With juggling, they've never seen it. So another theme park producer called me last week to fill in, and they were interested for the small show. But it's like, hey, why not, use this big concept? But they just didn't get it. So that's it's good, because if I have them powerful promo, like a good video that explains it and everything, it could open up some opportunities, but it's definitely more work because you don't have examples that they already work with and they already have a vision how cool it can be.
Yep. Yeah, so you have less competition because nobody else is doing it, but it's harder to pitch it because people have never seen it.
Yeah, so almost the competition is like that people, don't know about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hard thing actually with juggling in general, because with magic you have some role models, like for example Copperfield, they know, and then a lot of magicians are getting gigs because people can know that it could be cool. With juggling, you don't have somebody that's really nailing it and shows the general audience how cool it can be. So I think for ticket sales for a juggling act, it's very tough because nobody has a perception like how cool it can be. So, I mean, I think one of the reasons that's true is because, seeing something disappear, everybody understands that seems impossible. It must be a really hard thing to do. Whereas juggling, to really understand how hard juggling 7 clubs is, you have to know how to juggle 5 clubs, So, and also I think it's more easy to use magic or ventriloquism to create a story. And to have something, like a longer theatrical piece, because juggling 7 clubs, it's impressive, but normally it's very short, and it's not like to create a full evening show out of just technical juggling. It's it's very difficult, and also it doesn't provoke really emotions. It doesn't connect with something else like that music does, or so that's the hard thing. So then just to make a full show with juggling, you need to probably use juggling as one element to it, add all the other theatrical elements to create a full show that people are entertained by and just want to see and watch for a longer time.
So what are some things you're doing to try to give juggling shows more of a story?
Right now I'm working with Dan as well. Like if you're now like the type of show I'm doing is a headliner show. So then my personality, my onstage personality must be so strong that it pulls together the entire show. And then juggling is the tool for me to express me. And that's, it's a process. So like it's difficult. You have to find your personality. So I'm from the Netherlands. I have this accent. So those are some stuff that's unique to me. Like none of the other comedy jugglers are doing that. So... But it's a process. I'm still searching for it, and but that's why I'm still excited about what I do, because every year my show is different. It changes and gets better.
You also mentioned that with juggling, it's harder to form an emotional connection. When you're performing, how have you tried to overcome that? For one routine, for example, with the comedic juggling. My friends Rob and Emil, it's a duo show in the Netherlands, and they do really, really well. They have like an amazing month, like a yearly profit, and like it's a great show. Like it's very big in the Netherlands. It actually is going so well. That's why they plan to not go outside of the Netherlands anymore. But they did. They won like top prizes, the World's Mentalism Magic Championships. But he gave me an idea that I'm not using in my show yet because I don't feel comfortable with it. But maybe answer the question. So, for example, when you do contact juggling, it's a ball rolling over your hands. That's beautiful. But he said maybe you can have like a picture frame of a girl like on a stand on stage, and then you have the red ball. And he said, like, okay, I'm traveling so much with my show. Some people ask me, doesn't get lonely if I'm on a cruise ship or on tour for a couple months? And I said, yes, it does get lonely. But that's why I always have my photo here of my girlfriend. So she gives me
to the tough times. And then you have this red ball, and this romantic music starts playing. And then it's like the heart. So you take that and you play with that, and then you do the manipulation. And then it's not so much about the juggling anymore. Then it's more like about it. You miss your loved one, and it goes a level deeper, and then it gets into a theatrical piece because you use the juggling as a tool to tell something else.
All right, that's a great example. And well, if you never do that one, it's still a cool. It's kind of a cool starting point to think about how can we make our performances more meaningful to the people watching.
Yeah, and then it's a bit of a catch-22. It needs to be interesting in the show, but also it needs to fit my stage persona. So if you tell that story, then in your stage persona you tell that you're on the road a lot, and that you know, like all this like subtle triggers. So then for a long show to make it work, the pieces you tell in that one, it must fit the entire concept of the show. So I think that's why doing longer shows is more difficult than doing a short spot. Because if you do a 7-minute piece to the music, if you amaze your audience with visuals, beautiful tricks, it's cool. And for 7 minutes, people are intrigued. So maybe then if you juggle 7 clubs, you know, if you do that for a couple seconds in a short show, it's very impressive. But you cannot build a full show on even an impressive skill like that, because it doesn't have like something connected to it that keeps the interest for a longer time.
Okay, so I just wanted to back up a little bit. You said you started juggling when you were how old?
When I was 12,
When you were 12?
learned the three-ball cascade.
Okay, and I think you said you started performing when you were 13?
Yeah, so I have this playground really close to my home, so that's where, Grassfield. So this is where I practice during the summers. So I was practicing juggling there, and then somebody said, like, hey, we have a barbecue with our block, a couple streets. Will be fun. Do you want to perform? So it's like, sounds really cool. So, and they said, how much do you charge? And I had no clue. So I figured out, like, my friends went to the supermarket, they made like $3 or something for an hour. And I was like, okay, if I need to go there, that's about an hour, do my show. So it's about an hour at the party, maybe an hour to pack everything up and just walk back home. So I was like, okay, that's like, so I just started like $9 or something. Like it was a little conversion, like so 8 or something, or 7. And then at the end, he gave me 10. And in the Netherlands, it's tipping is less usual than in the States.
Right.
So like, okay, well, I probably undercharged because, you know, he's giving me a significant amount more than I charged for. So, you know, I must have done a really good job. And so that was a very good first experience. They were very friendly. I got paid more than I asked for. And there were a couple other people that had like organizing a coloring match at like the kids' hospital. So they said, okay, we have this this competition and we have the award ceremony that people get some toys and they announce the winner. So it would be cool if you come there as well, do a little act before we give the winner, the kid, like his toy that he won for the coloring competition. And from there I got another one, like a kids disco at the local athletics club.
And you're still 13 at this point?
Yeah, 13, 14 years old. So yeah, it was cool. And then I was thinking, okay. And then I asked the owner of a good friend of mine, like of the juggling shop in Rotterdam, like, you know, how much should I charge? And he said, no, you need to charge more than like $7. So then every time I charge more. So in the third one, I was up to like $50.
All right.
Like, so, and they still didn't freak out. And I thought like, okay, it sounds pretty unreal to me at that time. I was like, but I'm just upping my fee pretty much every time. I was like, at one point, they're probably going to freak out and get angry. And then my strategy was like, okay, it's like you're doing business with a 14-year-old kid. What do you expect? Like I'm still learning. And then I would use that excuse, but they never freaked out. And yeah, so it's good. So it was for a couple steps, and then I saw in the newspaper that you have World Harbor Festival. Rotterdam is like used to be the biggest harbor city in the world. And the kids circus, the youth circus of Rotterdam, Circus Hoortjeknor, they were having like a booth and like an open workshop space. So I dragged my mom there, and then I managed to sign up. And so I was there for a couple years. Then I met other teenagers that were interested in the same stuff. And then I met a good friend of mine, like Chris, and we did street shows on the Saturdays. And the same time, the European Juggling Convention came to Rotterdam, and the people that organized there, always in the weekends, they were practicing in the park as well. So then, I got involved in like the local juggling community, and it's fun. And then it kind of grew from there.
So, you were doing these shows for upping your price every time. Were all your other friends jealous that you had more money than them because you could juggle?
Well, not really, because actually why I wanted to do the shows was just that they have this juggling catalog, and I saw all these really cool toys in the juggling catalog. So I was doing all that stuff just to buy more juggling props, so I have
awesome.
more toys. Yeah, I remember one time that was fun. Like I was doing street performing, and I saw this. I wanted bouncing balls, but they were pretty expensive. So I went doing street shows. It's like, okay, just please reserve them. Don't sell them today, because by the end of the afternoon, I will come back and I will go street performing now, and I will make the money so I can buy those balls. So it took me that afternoon, and then Sunday in the morning, half an hour more, and then I had the money. So I came there with a big bag of coins, and they were laughing, and then they sold me the balls, and then I had bouncing balls.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you, from a teenager, you were performing, you were doing street performing, and now you're doing that. Well, it turned into actual performances, and now you're looking into even like headliner performances. So how did you transition from street shows to where you're at now?
Well, I think it's a natural process, because every market you learn stuff, you learn new skills. So the good thing with street performing is you get a feel from what's working, because if it's not working, people just walk away. But then when you work on a cruise ship, there's sometimes, that's the main activity. So it's a big step after people have eaten to walk out, because it's the main activity, that your show. So they don't walk out so quickly.
Right.
But still, you don't want to bore them. So if the experience from street performing was really good to get a feel what people think it's interesting. Then I had, besides the street performing, I was also doing like parties and stuff. So it was not just street performing. I also had like a website. So I remember when I was 15, I bought my domain name, nielsduinker.com. So that was pretty cool, because even, some companies didn't have their own .com yet.
Right.
But I saw Anthony Gatto had this, AnthonyGatto.com, JasonGarfield.com, and those were the two jugglers. I was watching their videotapes up every day just to get inspired. So I just want to have my .com as well. So, but yes, I learned street performing. That was a good start. Then also I was lucky throughout college. There was like a theater restaurant in Rotterdam. So it was not a variety theater, but it was like this all-inclusive concept. So they had 4 hours, like a program, and they were doing entertainment at the tables, and then they had a central spot in the restaurant, almost like a stage, where you did like a 7-8 minute variety act. So almost like the stuff in Germany, but it was like a all-inclusive concept for bachelor parties, so unlimited amount of beer. So also there, it was a pretty rough environment, because you need to be good. You need to compete with the beer. People were already not drunk, but so like I remember that every night, every table, I got like, when I did the contact juggling, like close-up juggling, and like the girls always got like, oh, your fingers are so nimble and flexible. Your girlfriend must be so happy. That was the standard line I was getting every time. And
it's hard to concentrate with that.
Yes, in the beginning when I was like 20, 19 or something. You're shy, you don't know what to say. Yeah. But then at one point, you start to go quick. You make a joke back, and then, okay, it works. Then you do a harder one, it works. So at one point, you just learn pretty quick to shut them up. So you got this, strong stage persona. Like this, it really is a good way to build your confidence. So that was, and I had to do that like 40 tables per evening, twice a week, for 4 years. So that was, and then in addition to my central spot. So it was great, and also that was like almost like a steady gig for a while. So I could still do my mechanical engineering studies, and then I didn't need to worry too much about marketing myself. I was still marketing, but not that much, because I knew I was making a certain amount every week already there, which was less than if I would concentrate on corporate. But now when the payment of experience that I got out of it for my work these days, super, super great. So I did that. Then together with the theme park in Japan, I think those 3 experiences really prepared me to get the package right for the shows I'm doing now. Like the interactive with the comedy, the talking, the strong stage persona. And then in Japan, since they cannot speak English, or most audience members don't speak English well enough. So I needed to do this piece, 20 minutes of impressive juggling. And I think 20 minutes is just too long. If you only do technical juggling, you will bore the audience. But it just, I couldn't talk. So I needed to figure out something on top of the juggling to keep them interested.
Right.
So I think it was great because then those 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I made it work with juggling, no talking. And then you add later the talking from the street shows and from the restaurant. And that mix really get me ready to do a 45-minute show with talking and also still interactive juggling. But then I know there's a lot of American performers, they think for interactive entertainment they need to open their mouth and start talking. But when you look at Paul Ponce or Anthony Gatto, and they communicate constantly while they're juggling. So they communicate well. They're not, they don't open their mouth, but they're still pulling the audience in just through their body motions, the way they look. And I think if you do that and add the comedy, like funny jokes, it's a very good mix to keep the audience involved. And if more people would be doing it, I think a juggling show could be as appealing to general audience as now a ventriloquist show is becoming again, or some magic shows.
Yep. What would you say is the main difference in engaging the audience between a street performance and a stage show?
I think the attention span of the audience in an outdoor venue, so it could be a fair or street shows, is a lot shorter than a stage show. So for the street show, since people are standing and you have like outside noise, you need to get to the punch or get to the point pretty quick, because if you have too much stuff building up to something cool, you're gonna lose the audience. But then also it becomes more superficial, because in a theatrical you can play with the lights, with video, just to make a deeper artistic vision. You can bring it across because you have all those tools and people are in the seat relaxed and they're watching. And the street show, it's some people walk by, maybe you have like another attraction or some traffic or whatever. So because if they lose the interest, or like if they lose the attention span because they got distracted, they cannot follow your point. Like in your artistic vision, they need to follow all the steps. So in the street show, you just need to keep the setup and the payoff much closer. And in the theater show, you can go deeper and work with different pacing. But I think in the street shows, you need to move pretty quick, and it needs to be pretty basic.
Okay. Another question related to performing. Everyone can tell that you're bilingual, so you speak Dutch and English, and presumably you do shows in both Dutch and English. And I was wondering if you could just tell us how that's been easy or difficult, or how jokes are different in Dutch or English, and just how you work with two different languages.
So I speak in school. I learn English and also German. French we had an attempt, but I never pursued it to really practice it. So I just came back from Berlin, and so there I had to do some German on stage as well.
All right.
So I think, like, for me, another advantage, which was tough in the beginning, I think in the States, when people go out to a show, they go, okay, this is a show. So the point about a show is to have fun. So this should be fun. And if the performance is good, we're just going to go along and we're going to have fun. In the Netherlands, it's more like, okay, or in Germany, like, okay, if you're good, then you'll pause in and then we're going to have a great time regardless. But if you're going to be just mediocre or crap, we're just not going to be polite and play along. And I think in the US, it's a little bit more, it's a little easier that way, just because the mentality is already, it's fun and we're just going to play along and have a great time. Instead of, okay, you have to win, it's over, and then we will go along and we're going to go for a great time. So that's why, I really enjoy performing for American audiences. But then it's also good to have my training ground for those audiences, because then if it flies in Northern Europe, it's also going to fly in the States.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You were saying before that because of the that culture of juggling in Europe, you're a really good technical juggler, and then you've kind of shaped your show around comedy and a story. So it kind of gives you this unique way to in some ways be better than a lot of jugglers in the States, just because you've had to be better in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's just in the beginning you don't know where it's direction, so you learn by just watching other people and then just kind of take, or like not copying, but kind of go the direction that you're seeing as inspiration. So I remember going to the variety theaters in Germany. Like one of my friends, Valentino, a juggler from Bosnia, who was working a lot in that market, invited me a few times over. So that's what I was seeing. So I didn't know about the American style comedy juggling. And so then I was seeing more of the short acts. So that was my inspiration. So I was going for that. And then later I got my inspiration from the comedy juggling. And now the market of the short acts is shrinking in Europe as well. So actually now it's good. I'm lucky to get the other input with the comedy juggling.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm a couple years ahead, I feel, of the people that are start to realize now that there's more opportunity in that one over here than with the short acts. So yeah, it's good. So I learned from both, and now I still can do, like I did in Berlin. I just got home like yesterday from Berlin. I did 2 weeks of just a 7-minute act to music. Over Christmas I did a circus show, 7 minutes to music. But then in the summer I'm gonna do my comedy juggling stuff again. So it's also great because some markets are seasonal. Mm-hmm. So in Europe the cruises come back around May, and then they leave around November. So it's easier to land a cruise ship gig in Europe throughout the summer, because then thereafter they go back to the Caribbean or to the Middle East, and it's just more expensive for companies to fly you there. So then you get a fewer of those. But then like the Christmas circuses, of course, they're only happening around Christmas. But then you need another type of act. So it's like almost having different products available. And then like when one season is a top season for that type of show, I kind of rotate between the different markets to fill my schedule year round.
Yep. Now you also have a degree in mechanical engineering. That's not the typical degree you expect to hear from a juggler. So how has that degree played into your juggling career?
Well, it's good because it's not an easy degree. So you have I think what I learned most. I remember that you get a project. So it's like, okay, this is your assignment, and then in 9 weeks' time you need to calculate this kind of engine And in the beginning, you have never heard about that type of engine before. So it's really overwhelming. But then after 9 weeks, you made it work. And it's the same with some juggling acts. Like it's, for example, maybe shaker cups or juggling a chainsaw. It's a pretty big thing if you don't know how to do it. But then you go, okay, if I just take the same approach as what I did at university, just step by step, at one point, I'll be able to put it in my show. So first you have to research the prop, learn the tricks, create an act with it. There's so many steps as well with mechanical engineering. So I think like that's not like nanoscience. It's not like super complicated, but for me it was a good case study to realize that you can do big stuff if you take it one step at a time. And the other thing now is like, of course, mechanical engineering is a lot with forces, speeds, dynamics. So with juggling, there's a lot of that kind of stuff comes in play as well. So now by building some of the props, if the trick is not working, it could be that the prop was not built correctly. And then you understand like, okay, it's too heavy on this point, the shape is not right. And then you just think, you make an analyzation in your mind, and then kind of rebuild the prop and then make it work. And the other thing, with the show is like there's so many moving elements. So I think just mechanical engineering, it's some calculations and some projects is not easy. The same like with show business, you have to create the comedy, create the juggling, create your marketing, your logistic with the travel. There's a lot of different kind of stuff that all comes in play, almost like this in a calculation, all these different factors that play a role as well. So it's kind of I'm more used to looking at the process and like, okay, this could play a part, this could play a part. The same yeah, like if you want to make your show more sellable, you can up your promo, you can
Yep.
up your stage persona. There's so many different elements, so it doesn't have to be one single way. It could be different factors that could accomplish the same, or a combination. So I'm more used to that now because of the study as well.
Yeah, so it's literally impacted every aspect of juggling for you, from learning
Yeah.
to making props to your performances. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it's like everything. Like for me, juggling is also not just my job; it's my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everything I do in my life, of course, it involves my personal life, but it could also make my professional life better. And it's very difficult. Like if you work a lot of shifts or be on tour, you're there for your job, but you're not in the theater all the time. So it just gets very blurred anyway. What's your professional life? Who are your personal friends, your professional friends?
Right.
So and the same, like now talking to you, like it's my business to juggle. So it's almost like a business thing that I'm doing, but also juggling is my hobby, and it's fun. So this is also, it's just great. So maybe that's what they say. If you make your hobby into your profession, you don't need to work anymore.
Yep. Okay, so one more question I have for you is what do you think keeps you going? Like you started juggling, and it sounds like you went pretty quick. What was about juggling that made you so interested, and now it's become your life?
Well, in the beginning, I really liked just the coordination. I remember before I juggled, I just liked to throw a ball against the wall in my room, catch it. Just this coordination. I just really enjoy doing that. Also, before I played table tennis at a club, so I really like this, just the challenge of like placing the ball in the right place of the table, and I did inline skating as well. Those half pipes. So I like the process. Just you have to go on the half pipe, and then in the beginning you don't get the grind right, or you don't get the spin right, but when you practice throughout the process, you get better. So I really like that when I was a kid. And then with juggling, you have big time, that aspect comes back as well. So every time the trick could be going better or worse. So it's just I really like that process of training and grow that way.
So the challenge of taking something step by step and accomplishing something great.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. And then when I started doing the shows, which was first just out of my own interest of being able to buy better juggling props, and don't need to interrupt my juggling, but just making money with the juggling so I could buy better toys. Then at one point you make people happy with it. So then it's just instead of just me, like an internal thing, my own personal enjoyment, the enjoyment spreads across your audience into the community. So then I go, okay, it's a good mix. So actually I think that going back and forth, of course you have some periods that maybe I'm practicing more and I'm enjoying myself just for my own sake and doing less shows, and then you take a contract and you do 3 shows a day for a month. So then it's more difficult to grow my personal juggling skill. But then the enjoyment for other people keeps me going, and it's just going this back and forth between the different elements of juggling.
Okay. Yeah, I remember what I was going to ask you now. As you were talking about your mechanical engineering degree and how that's affected you, you mentioned breaking things down and learning them step by step. And that reminded me of like your YouTube tutorial videos on YouTube, that you're actually quite a great teacher, because that's how you teach. You don't just say this is how you do a certain move. You say here's some things you can do to warm up, to get different skills down before you actually execute the actual trick.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I watched those videotapes from Jason Garfield and from Anthony Gatto so much, and Anthony Gatto was like talk about breaking the skills down. Jason Garfield as well, but like Anthony Gatto, even his complicated tricks, I think some very difficult things. He's like, I break it down, I practice this one first. So he tells a little bit about how he practices. So I think that as a big part of my success that I'm achieving now in my life with the juggling stuff, that even outside juggling, it could be triggered back to what Anthony Gatto was explaining in his videotapes, how to practice and how to approach a project and the time you need to put into it. So that's become so ingrained of me now. That's already like 16 years. So I think every time now, like it's what are the the baby steps. So you take a baby step, you conquer that, and then another step, and at one point you have, kind of walked the entire distance by taking small steps at a time. And it's that way it's not not overwhelming.
Yep.
It's still complicated, but it's not overwhelming. And it's it's pretty amazing, like how many people don't understand it. Even like with this corporate events, I had was 2 years ago, I think, with the top 100 managers of the HSBC Bank. So they flew me to London. It was a very exclusive, high corporate meeting with their top 100 managers. So I was like, there was security outside of the conference room. So just, no terrorists could come in, and just because it's the sickest, largest company in the world, or like for finance. So but at least, and then also he explains little step by step. And even those guys go, okay, cool. Like some topics they knew it, but on those topics they didn't realize as well. And it's just, it's so funny. I explained about, my small shows early on, and and it's like, okay, that is so interesting. And they were thinking then of their big new financial product. It's like, it's pretty cool. That's like some kind of street show or some kind of show at that we had a restaurant with all these bachelor parties that is now like inspiring even some of those guys with this $1 billion financial product. So I was like, and then if you see that, you go, okay, in the beginning, not many people take juggling seriously, but then, now you get better at it and actually use it then it becomes also like something in the real world that people can benefit from. So just seeing that, it's like, okay, it's not useless, but some people were just, that couldn't see the potential were telling me early on, but I stuck to it. And now, those guys are like, okay, that's super interesting. We got this inspiration out of it. Cool.
So what are some tips you have for aspiring professional jugglers, people who want to be able to do this for a living?
I think you need to understand what people. So, like for me, street shows was good. You need get an understanding what actually people want to see, because that's what Dan Holzman tells me as well. You have, it's commercial art, so you have one point that you want to do, and you have some stuff that are people interested in, and then hopefully, and you have this overlap. So at one point there's some stuff that you want to do, and there's some stuff that people actually want to see. You want to work in that, on that place. And I think a lot of people want to do it full time because they just love juggling so much. But then also, so they don't think that it's also to go to the other part of the equation, that people also, you must present stuff that people want to see. And you don't want to do it too much, because then you become like just doing standard hack stuff. So that doesn't serve you in the long run. But also, so keep in mind, so find a place to find out what people want to see, but also that you enjoy doing. And if you're in that sweet spot, it fires you up as well, because you're doing stuff that you're enthusiastic about. So then you're growing and you just want to keep going, which is what you need, because it's not easy. Like there's so many stuff that could go wrong. Like maybe you need a new prop for a show, and it's defenders out of that prop. Then your website is down. Then somebody cancels on you. Then you're stuck in traffic. And to going to a gig, there's so many things, hurdles that seems like that are against you to make it work. So you need to be enthusiastic, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna let me down by all this stuff that is annoying of clients that maybe complain, whatever. You need to keep going. You need to go for this longevity. So you need to be inspired and motivated. So you need to do something that you enjoy doing.
Right.
But then also, if you just look outside, because you're still providing a service to other people.
So don't get stuck in the day-to-day like negative moments, but look towards the more long-term goal of what you're trying to accomplish.
Find that sweet spot, so you do stuff that you're enthusiastic about, because you need that internal motivation just to keep going, because when you start out, so many stuff is stacked against you. You don't know what the audience, how they're gonna react. So, but then also you don't have so many covers that, if you do a joke that doesn't work, you don't have so many lines that could cover that kind of awkward moment.
Right.
Your juggling skills is not that solid. You don't have so much experience of juggling while looking into a spotlight.
Right.
So in the beginning, all this stuff is more difficult because you don't have the experience, and you need to get through it, but also you don't have the backups in place yet. So you need a lot of drive to keep going. So you really need to love what you're doing on that one. So you need to find you work in the area that you're happy and feel motivated and passionate to keep going, because you're gonna need that to actually keep going. But then also you must find the stuff that people actually want to see, because if you do great stuff that only you're happy about and nobody cares about it, then you will not get repeat bookings, and then you cut your career short as well.
Yep. All right, so one more big question, then we'll do some quick fire questions, and then we'll call it a conversation. So, how have you seen juggling impact you and those around you in a positive way?
For me, it's a lot of my personal growth went to juggling. So I went to the juggling conventions, met so many other people from other countries. Learned to speak English better because the need that I felt to communicate with people that I want to communicate about a topic that I was passionate about. Then I started working. I got to travel like to all 7 continents with the juggling. I'm just making my living juggling now, so my money comes from juggling. A lot of my physical health, like my exercise, is through juggling, just by practicing every day. So pretty much, I think most important aspect in my life, or pretty much everything, just somehow is connected to juggling. Also because I'm busy with it, like, from early morning to late night. Yeah,
that's great. So here's some quick fire questions. Most inspiring jugglers to you?
Different topics. So it's Anthony Gatto when I started out for the technical aspect. With the comedy juggling, it's Dan Holtzman, Raspini Brothers, Michael Davis. Like personal connecting with an audience while performing. The class, like, Paul Ponce is fantastic. Victor Key, Claudius Specht. The history of juggling, I just was hanging out last week a lot with Karl-Heinz Seaton. So, so all these different aspects of juggling, and it's probably, if I keep going, there are more people. It's funny. Like, it's when I started, there was no internet, and now on the ships with YouTube, I don't check it that much because on the cruises and when I'm on the road, sometimes it's a little tough with the internet. So it's still like the core, the base of my business. I just dropped my phone. First drop of the day. I'm still a juggler. So like when I started out, I was just reading books and videotapes. So that's it's a lot less instant. But I think it's good as well, because these days it's so easy to put up a YouTube video, but then to put out a videotape like Dave Finnegan did, with like juggling step by step, it's more thought and more time and more expenses went into it. So it's a little bit more thought out and so it's pretty much old school generation.
Awesome. What's your favorite trick or pattern to perform?
It's tough because now I'm at the point that I have a lot of tricks I enjoy. 5-club back crosses still looks like amazing to me. I really enjoy seeing that. Now shaker cups, I'm in the process of finishing that routine up, so I'm very enthusiastic about that as well. Now like a new trick is like a ball in your neck, dropping it behind you, kick it with your heel, and then back on the mouse stick. That's really cool as well, because almost the same like back crosses. You just have this 3D arch that's flying over your head, and it suddenly is there.
Awesome. Your most memorable performance so far?
There a couple, but what I remember was pretty cool. It was on my 18th birthday, and I was at the European Juggling Convention in Denmark, and that was the first time I managed to perform 7 clubs as a flash. But also it was my birthday, and then the MC announced that it was my birthday, so I had literally like over 2,000 jugglers singing happy birthday, which was awesome. Really cool. And it was the first time I did 7 clubs, and I just finished high school, so it was right before I went to college. So no obligation from the past school, like into a new chapter of my life. So that was a pretty cool moment as well. But there are so many, like it's
Yep. Awesome. Well, you said there's so many. We want to share one more?
I can, like, one was really cool. That's I got some award for my show, and then the royal family invited me for lunch.
Oh wow!
So that was not a show. That was really cool too.
Yeah.
And then it was like with 30 people, like high players that got like a special professional recognition in for their field. So then all those guys I knew from television or whatever. So that was really amazing. And then the other stuff is when you just go to like some nursery home or hospital, and those people are like suffering, and then you make them laugh or smile.
Oh yeah.
And then maybe their parents or whatever told like has been not smiling for so long, and or you made it a special moment. So I think those are actually even more powerful. But for my own, of course, like getting recognized by the royal family, it's a cool ego thing as well.
Totally. Yeah, that's one of those moments where you look around, you're like, "What am I doing here?"
Yeah, I remember. I got the letter. I got the letter in the mail. Actually, it was in my mailbox, and it was like the official stuff. And I go, "You got this invitation from like the king," and I go, "Okay, who of my friends is playing a joke on me?"
Yeah.
And then I was really looking at the letter, and I was like, well, I don't. I was like, it's so weird because none of my friends would go through the effort to really get an official stamp made. So it was like this paper was like, like engraved, like some kind of.
Yeah.
So it was not a stamp with ink, but like throughout the paper.
Embossed.
Yeah, so it's like nobody of my friends is gonna go through that effort.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me call this number back, and then there's like, and it was like the official number. I was like, this is the assistant of the king. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, finally, what's your best practice tip?
Best practice tip? Well, I think probably that's what Anthony has said in his videotape as well. Like he was touching props, like his trick every day. So with some tricks, like small drips, I practiced every day, just a couple minutes. Then I moved to the next trick with that prop for a couple minutes. So it's a very slow process, but it's I think a pretty deep process at one point when you start nailing the tricks, because you have been building up to that trick for so many years. It really comes ingrained into your body. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty boring, but it's just stick at it, and just and also when it really doesn't work, then I try it for a couple minutes and say, okay, today it's not the day. Mm-hmm. I put in my time. Tomorrow is another day, and then just keep at it. And sometimes it takes a long time. Like for me, 5 clubs half shower, 6 clubs triple double. Those are serious tricks. So those took a couple years for me that way. But at one point, start clicking, and then they start really clicking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great tip. So if people wanted to find your stuff or see what you're doing, where can they look?
So I got a new domain name, especially for people in the US that have difficulty spelling my name correctly. So when you go to comedyjuggler.com, that's my website. And then when you put in Niels Duinker, Niels Duinkr on YouTube, then you'll find those tutorials that you spoke about. Also, my show trailer is there. And so that's that. On Amazon, you can find my book and my DVD. This book, Barry Friedman helped me a bunch to get it written. It's about all the lessons I learned through juggling, and so it's, I think if you're a teenager and just you're passionate about something, and you want to pursue something, it's a good book for that.
Okay, great. All right, well, you have the final word. So what's some juggling advice for the juggling community at large? Or words of inspiration.
Yeah, I think it's if you're a hobby juggler, enjoy what you're doing. It's a lot of fun. If you're a professional juggler, also enjoy what you're doing, and then make yourself happy, make your audience happy as well. Just
all right. Well, thanks so much for that. So, and I think you're kind of referring back to what you were saying earlier. You need to find your niche, what makes you happy as a juggler. Don't do things just because you feel like you should, but figure out what you enjoy most about juggling and go forward with that.
Yeah, it's a hard route. It's not an easy profession. You're your own boss, so you need to keep your drive and inspiration. But it's great. To me, it's super rewarding, and I'm having a blast with it. So for me, if money would be not existing in the world, I'll still be doing this kind of stuff.
All right, super cool. All right, everybody. Thanks, Niels, so much for being with us. And
thanks for having me.
It was awesome.
It was fun.
And everybody else, make sure you check out interviews and highlight reels like this on my channel every single week. And don't forget to download my free resource, Top 15 Ways to Take Your Juggling to the Next Level, on my site. All right, until next time, keep on juggling.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to support the channel. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe.